All right, here is the lesson for today. We're going to return to the subjunctive, which we haven't talked about for quite a while. So what I'm going to do first here is remind you how to form the subjunctive. I'm going to go through it quickly. If you have questions, you'll need to pause and review this chart right here. Okay, so, whoops, that's not a good circle, that one. Okay. So remember, there's 3 steps to forming the subjunctive. Number 1, start with the present tense yo form of the verb. Okay, so remember you have to keep stem changes in here, like tener becomes tengo. You have to keep stem changes like entender becomes entiendo. All right, so that's step 1. Step 2 is drop off the o. Present tense yo verbs end in o. We drop that o off. And step 3 is to add the opposite vowel. So if it's an AR verb like this one, we're going to switch the A to E. If it's an ER-IR verb like these two, we switch those to an A. Okay? And then we add the regular endings that we would expect. So hablar becomes yo hable, tú hables, él hable, nosotros hablemos, ellos habléis, vosotros, ellos, ellas, ustedes hablen. Okay, tener, we're switching to A here because tengo. So tenga, tengas, tenga, tengamos, tengáis, tengan. Okay, so that's how we do it. I'm not going to spend any more time on it. If you don't feel comfortable doing that, pause the video and spend some time practicing with some verbs. All right, here's a review. When do we use the subjunctive? So this lesson is just going to talk about a couple of different terminology, but the same concept that what we've learned before. Okay, so the new things that it's going to talk about is clauses. Okay, we have our first clause, our main clause here. Okay, and then on the right side, starting with the que, usually, although not always, because if we have ojalá, we don't always need que. We have our secondary clause over here on the right, the subordinate clause. And the verb in the main clause, like this one, espera, is going to be indicative. This is a statement of fact. Patricia espera. It's just a statement of fact. Okay? Here, our verb on the right side is going to be in subjunctive. Okay? Because it's unsure. Patricia espera, pero no sabe si Mario irá al colegio. Okay? So she hopes that, but she's not sure. Importantly, remember this part here. In the subordinate noun clause, if the subject in the subordinate clause is different than the subject in the main clause. Okay? So here, the subject is Patricia. Over here, it is Mario. Okay? So we have subject change, and then we have these 4 scenarios that will trigger the subjunctive. If the verb in the main clause talks about hopes, wishes, or recommendations, so ella espera, ella quiere que, ella sugiere que, all of these things will trigger subjunctive. Ella sugiere que Mario vaya al colegio. Okay, she's not sure, but she is hoping, wishing, or recommending that he does. The second scenario where we will use the subjunctive is where we have doubt or denial involved. So, los padres, here's our subject, los padres niegan que, deny, los padres niegan que sus hijos, cambio de sujeto, okay? Sujeto 1, los padres, sujeto 2, los hijos. Los padres niegan que sus hijos sean, subjunctive verb here, right? Sean, because los hijos, so ellos, ellas, ustedes. Malcriados, this means ill-mannered. So they are doubting or denying it. If we're saying that the parents do believe that the kids are ill-mannered, this is no longer subjunctive because it's not uncertain. It's just a statement of fact. They do believe that their kids are ill-mannered. So it's doubting or denying. Los padres no creen, they don't believe. Los padres no creen que sus hijos sean malcriados. All right? So first one, if the main clause verb is in the is expressing hope, wishes, or recommendation, or second one, if it's expressing doubt or denial, okay? Then the third scenario, emotion. And this doesn't totally fit with our idea of uncertainty, but it's a big rule that we learned, so hopefully this will be a review. If the verb in the main clause is expressing emotion about a scenario and there's a subject change, then we're going to use the subjunctive in this subordinate clause. Just for, a million extra bonus points, what are the two subjects? What's the subject in the main clause and what's the subject in the subordinate or secondary clause? All right, hopefully you got it. In the main clause, it's yo, because me. Here, what is it? Well, our clue is in the verb, haya. This is conjugated for él, ella, usted, and it's referring to violencia. Me alegro de que haya menos violencia. Less violence. Okay, so that is the subject in the subordinate clause. Okay, so any sort of emotions. Los padres están alegres de que los hijos coman las verduras, right? Any sort of emotion there with a trigger phrase. Last is kind of a new idea, but it's kind of a grouping of some of the other categories that we learned. So it's grouped under the term of judgment, okay? So if the verb in the main clause is expressing some sort of judgment or evaluation, and there's a stem change, then we're going to use subjunctive in the secondary clause. Es sorprendente, it's surprising that los políticos no puedan solucionar el problema. Another way to think about it being judgment, we might say, es malo que los políticos no puedan solucionar. Okay, it's really bad that politicians cannot solve these problems. Okay, so again, if the main clause has a verb that expresses hope, wishes, or recommendations, doubts or denial, emotion or judgment, and then there's a stem change, the verb in the secondary clause, the subordinate clause, will be subjunctive. Okay, that's review from last year. Here's a quick chart to help you remember which phrases and verbs match hopes, wishes, and recommendations, which talk about doubt and denial, which talk about emotion, and which ones talk about judgment. So I've written this in pencil in my textbook. You need to know these for this unit. You need to know every single one of these. Most of these we learned last year, but it's been a while. I will say it again. You need to know these verbs. I'll put a box around them for you to let you know how serious I am. Okay, these verbs right here, you have to know them. There's no way around that this unit, all right? So spend some time studying them if you need to. All right, moving on. So we're going to introduce our new idea with the subjunctive. So far that's all been review from what you've learned. So here is the idea. So far, when we've talked about the subordinate clause, which is the clause on the right, it has been a noun-verb clause. So, los padres quieren que los hijos coman las verduras. We have on the right side, los padres quieren que los hijos, subject, coman, verb, verduras, object. But sometimes we have a different thing going on in the subordinate clause, okay? So here, a subordinate clause might not have that noun verb. It might be an adjective, okay? So what do we mean by that? I'm going to start here in English. Mario has a fiance who loves him very much. Her name is Clara, okay? So this is saying, on the left side, Mario, here's our subject, tiene una novia. This is a statement of fact, okay? So we're going to use indicative. But here is our secondary or subordinate clause, que lo quiere mucho. Que lo quiere mucho is a description of the kind of fiance or girlfriend that Mario has. What kind of girlfriend is she? She's a girlfriend who loves him very much, okay? So this is an example of how the subordinate clause can describe the noun in the first clause. Mario tiene una novia que lo quiere very mucho. Now here, the book has this in blue because this is a statement of fact and it's true. This is an accurate statement about the fiance. So we're not going to use subjunctive. But sometimes we will use the subjunctive in the subordinate adjective clause, the description of the first clause, if the secondary, the subordinate adjective clause, describes two things. Okay, here are the two things. If they describe something or someone unknown or that does not yet exist. So, in this first one, we said Mario tiene una novia que lo quiere mucho. That's true. That is an accurate statement of the fiancé. But notice the difference in this second sentence. María busca un novio que sea muy bien educado. This means has good manners. Okay, that doesn't necessarily mean well educated. María busca. So what's the difference here? Here Mario tiene. Here María busca. She's looking for. Okay, she's looking for a boyfriend. We're not sure if this boyfriend exists. She's not sure, rather, if this boyfriend exists or if he's out there. She's looking for him. So this has the idea of something that is unknown or does not yet exist. Because we're describing something unknown, and that should clue us in right away to subjunctive, we use the subjunctive tense here in the secondary phrase. So María busca un novio que sea muy bien educado. Okay? We might say, la escuela busca un maestro que tenga un doctorado. The school is looking for a teacher that has a doctorate. Okay, so the school's not sure if he's out there or it's just unknown. So tenga. La escuela busca un maestro que tenga. Okay? If we wanted to say this in indicative, we could say, el maestro nuevo es una persona que tiene un doctorado. That's indicative. We're not going to use subjunctive there. But in the first example that I gave you, la escuela busca un maestro que tenga un doctorado. The school's not sure. Okay? So the element of not being known or not existing yet makes us use the subjunctive. So that's the first one. The second subordinate clause describes the first clause, but we're talking about something unknown or that doesn't exist or possibly doesn't exist. Second one, very related. Use the subjunctive in the subordinate adjective clause if the subordinate adjective clause describes, here we go, number 2, something or someone whose existence is denied or questioned. Okay, we're not sure about the existence of this person. Okay, so here's the example. No conozco, by the way, we have a subject change. Yo no conozco. And the second one, pareja. No conozco a ninguna pareja que no tenga problemas de vez en cuando. Okay, we are questioning or denying the existence. In this case, denying the couple that doesn't have a problem. The person is saying, I don't know of any couple who doesn't have problems. Yo no conozco a ninguna pareja que no tenga problemas. Look how in both of these examples, we're looking for something or we're not sure about something. Okay, so even our verbs here will tip us off. Here's an example for something or someone whose existence is questioned. Okay, here it's denied. I don't know of anybody. Here it's questioned. ¿Hay algo que sea más grave que el embarazo de las adolescentes? Is there anything as serious or more serious than teen pregnancy? Okay, so hay algo, that's the subject in the first one, que sea más grave que el embarazo de los adolescentes. So here the existence is being questioned or denied. Okay, so that's a quick rundown. Then to sum up, we're adding the concept of a secondary clause that's not just a noun verb, but rather it's a description of the first half. And then if that description is describing something unknown or that does not exist yet, or it's something or someone whose existence is being denied or questioned, then the subordinate clause